Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here back with round 10 of the F1 2021 Alpine mod career mode here on the F1 2020 game. I know it's probably going to be a little bit confusing over the next couple of days obviously. Thank you once more for all the insane support on the F1 2021 gameplay videos. You know, it has been absolutely incredible to jump into that game. But yeah, today though, we're back into F1 2020. Yeah, over halfway now through this F1 2021 mod career mode, driving as Esteban Ocon in his Alpine there. 9 points still separate myself and Charles Leclerc after the Belgian Grand Prix last time out. That was a very, very good race, so make sure you go back and check it out if you did miss it. 2 points separate Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen at the top of your championship as well. But heading to the Netherlands this weekend, hopefully we can have another good race ahead of us. Let's dive into it. Oh boy, it's looking slippery here in the Zandvoort then, ready for round 10 of the year. Let's get quite a high downforce setup on then, ready for the car this time around. And yeah, last time we had a wet qualifying, that was of course Austria, our best qualifying session of the year. So maybe, just maybe today, things can go rather well for us. Here we go then, ready for our qualifying lap here from the Dutch Grand Prix. Let's just see if we can try and get this one hooked up here today in these treacherous conditions around this track. Of course, this would be the very first Dutch Grand Prix on its return to Formula 1 in real life. I'm surprised there hasn't been much more of a song and dance about it, I'll be honest, over the course of the 2021 season so far, because I'm actually really looking forward to seeing these cars around here. They're going to be really, really careful on the throttle on this lap, though, because it is very, very slippery around this circuit. They're trying to ease on the power up the top of the hairpin there, and we've had a good, decent run through Sector 1 there. The Alpine does seem to come alive when it needs a bit more downforce then as we head down through Sector 2. Just trying to keep it clean and tidy through all the S's. Purple actually in Sector 1 there, so that's been an incredibly good start to this lap. Oh, come on. Just try and ease on the throttle. Don't get too overconfident, but also don't feel like leaving too much on the table either. Heading out of Sector 2. We're trading fast. It's currently with Max Verstappen. Of course, homeboy, I'm sure, wants to try and take pole here for the very first Dutch Grand Prix. But as we head now down through Sector 3, come on, let's just keep it nice and tidy. Could we be on for our very first pole of the year there as we try and dance the car through the final couple of corners of the lap. They're a little bit wide through the penultimate corner, through the banking of the final turn. Back end tries to get a bit fishtaily there on us, but down towards the line. We'll go to the bottom of the circuit there for the extra momentum, and it is going to be pole position for the Dutch Grand Prix there. That came out of nowhere.
That was a fantastic drive.
Well, out of nowhere then, pole position for the Dutch Grand Prix there by just 1/10 of a second over Max Verstappen there. Hamilton and Bottas 3rd and 4th, but Alonso, our teammate, down in 12th place on the grid, ready for this Grand Prix there. Not the qualifying session our teammate would have wanted there, but we'll take it very, very happily indeed. Let's dive in then here for the Dutch Grand Prix. So here we are then, ready on the grid for round 10 of the year here from the Netherlands for the Dutch Grand Prix. A bit of an interesting track, obviously. One, like we said, that F1 haven't headed to in a long, long time. And obviously, good to be back here in Zandvoort, obviously after the delayed start to this race's return last year, of course, obviously with the COVID-19 pandemic. Unfortunately meant Zandvoort was off the calendar last year. Would have been great to see it back, I'll be honest, even if it was just, you know, sort of fitted in with all of the other new and interesting venues we saw over the course of 2020. But of course, this is certainly going to be a race that Max Verstappen wants to win here today. Obviously his first ever home Grand Prix, but I'm sure Lewis Hamilton are looking to try and stop him, and maybe, just maybe, we could as well if the race pace is as good as we saw in qualifying. But of course then, there's still a lot of racing to get on with before we can find out the final results, obviously, from today's race. But yeah, fingers crossed the qualifying pace is as good as we saw. Obviously, Austria, the last time around, we qualified really well. The race pace was actually incredibly good there as well. So maybe, just maybe, we get a couple of races here where the Alpine really does seem to click with the track. You know, we get the setup right, everything like that, and things can look rather good. But having a look then at your grid ready for the Dutch Grand Prix, it is, like I said, Esteban Ocon ourselves on a pole position there. A rather surprising pole ahead of Max Verstappen, the Dutchman, obviously looking, like we said, definitely the man to beat this weekend. Now, Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, Mercedes lock out your second row on the grid here today with Charles Leclerc, our title rival, alongside Lance Stroll there. Sainz, Perez, Sebastian Vettel and Daniel Ricciardo round out your top 10 there, with Lando and Fernando just outside. Gasly, Tsunoda, Raikkonen, and then Mick Schumacher there with Mazepin, George Russell, and then down towards the rear of the field there, Latifi and Giovinazzi there round out your grid, ready for this Dutch Grand Prix. But yeah, 18 laps ahead of us. Things, I'm sure, are certainly going to get very interesting here. Not the easiest track to overtake at as well, so let's just wait and see as to how things unfold. Right, so here we are then, ready on the grid for the Dutch Grand Prix, round 10 of the season, and somehow we have managed to stick it on pole here today. The sun is shining though once again here in Zandvoort, ready for race day. Are we going to be able to ruin Max Verstappen's party this afternoon? He does look a bit quicker than Lewis Hamilton, but if we can get in the way, maybe, just maybe, second win of the year is on the cards. I'd certainly want another podium this weekend after the strong qualifying. But, I mean, if we can take some points out of Charles Leclerc, obviously bigger picture, of course, is the main aim at this stage of the World Championship. But yeah, let's dive right into it then. Here for round 10 of the year from the Dutch Grand Prix. We need a nice, clean getaway at the start of this one. It's 5 red lights. And it's an incredibly long hold, but it is finally lights out, and away we go. Verstappen has not got off well, though, as the Mercedes are going to hound us down in towards turn 1. Very deep on the brakes there, and Lewis Hamilton might go from third to first. Yes, he has. The dream start for Lewis Hamilton in the Dutch Grand Prix there. Like we said, third to first at the start of this race. We're trying to look back around the outside through the hairpin, but nothing happening there as we head out of the other side. And yeah, we will have to slot back in to P2 in this Grand Prix. We've got Verstappen trying to hound us as we head up towards the top of the hill there. The Red Bull man trying to go around the outside there. He might get a switch back on us. No, almost into the back of us on the exit there as Bottas thinks about going for another move in towards Sector 2 there. But we have held on to P2 at the start of the Grand Prix. But the dream start for Lewis Hamilton in this race. Leads the World Championship by just 2 points at the moment. But he might be able to further extend that gap here today. Coming towards the end of lap 2, though. I think Verstappen's actually made another mistake here in this Grand Prix. He's getting hounded by Valtteri Bottas out round the final corner. And they're having a drag race back down towards turn 1. Hamilton, of course, sets new fastest lap of the Grand Prix there. But has Bottas pulled off the move right around the outside? I don't think he's going to be able to find the momentum through turn 1. But all it's doing is giving Hamilton tonight a great chance to break away. As we come towards the end of lap 2, though, already just starting to lose a little bit more to Lewis Hamilton at this early stage of the Grand Prix. We just don't have the speed to try and match the Mercedes there. Another 3/10 lost at the end of the lap there, but Bottas 2.2 behind us. Max Verstappen another 4/10 behind him. As long as we don't lose out too much to those guys over the next few laps, we might be in for a good race. Coming to the end of lap 4, Hamilton is just sitting fastest lap after fastest lap at this stage of the day. Doesn't go faster that time round, as we improve by on our PB by another 1/10 of a second there. But yeah, that must have been pretty much even with the fastest lap from Hamilton so far. But Bottas and Verstappen still squabbling behind us, so the gap isn't coming back down to the Mercedes behind. I think Bottas might be struggling a little bit more for race pace around here than our teammate, because you can see Charles Leclerc is hanging on to the coattails of the pair of them at this point. So getting that good qualifying has really helped us out around here. Not a track where overtaking is going to be very common, so things are looking good early on.
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the mediums. We're leading our teammate by 12.7 seconds.
Team saying then that we're going to be approaching the pit window then. I think we'll try and extend it a little bit longer, but I'm obviously a bit cautious of getting undercut. Of course, traffic though around here is going to be a very big issue if you do have to make a slightly earlier stop, so maybe we'll see Hamilton under a bit of pressure from us later on if he has to pit just a little bit earlier. Only time will tell. I'm also just starting to wonder at this stage of the day whether Hamilton's taking a bit too much out of his tyres early on in this Grand Prix, because the gap no longer is going up anymore. It's actually coming down just a little bit at this stage of the day as well, though. So I think we've just done a good job looking after our tyres there. A 12.6 that time around, as well as a new PB for the Grand Prix. So maybe, just maybe, this race isn't done with just yet. Verstappen and Leclerc battling it out further back. Is Verstappen's day getting even worse here as the Ferrari, Charles Leclerc, might just have got round him? I think Charles has. Charles Leclerc up into P4 of the Grand Prix. So Max Verstappen's day gets even tougher as he's gone from 2nd to 5th in the opening 8 laps here in Zandvoort. Team want us in this lap. I'll be honest, I'm considering staying out maybe 2 more. If Hamilton pits now, we'll definitely stay out. Just don't want to get stuck in traffic, as it doesn't appear like anyone's pitting behind. Oh no, we got one McLaren in by the looks of it. Hamilton stays out another lap, so we will definitely do the same then in this Grand Prix. They're still setting low 1:13, so I don't think, apart from obviously lap 1, I don't think we've had a time slower than the 13.3 in this Grand Prix, as Bottas and Leclerc both in, so this might be a golden opportunity for Verstappen to really just try and push, get the hammer down, and maybe recover a couple of those places that he has lost in this race. But for Hamilton and I, we're just going to try and avoid the dirty air. Captain Lewis now back under 2 seconds in this Grand Prix. Oh, that was a little bit close. Just getting a little bit fishtaily out the final corner there, but Hamilton into the pits. We're going to try and go 1 lap longer in this Grand Prix and really try and push now to see if we can try and gain anything. Taking a big old gamble though, of course, on these tyres. But if a couple more cars stay out, Hamilton gets stuck in some traffic, this could work out wonderfully for us. Are we going to see anyone else staying out? I don't think we are, to be honest, looking at it. Alonso into the pits. It was a good job we didn't dive it in. But Hamilton, I think, is going to stay out in P2 there, so no dirty air for him. And the gap now about 13.5 seconds, so we've got to try and hold out there. It looks like Verstappen, though, has got back past Leclerc in this race, albeit only just. Around the final couple of corners of lap 11, we've taken these soft tyres really far into the Grand Prix. It's going to give us slightly fresher rubber towards the end, which might just give us the edge. So again, we just get a little bit loose on the exit of the penultimate corner there. Back down in towards the pit lane. Try and keep it nice and tidy. There we go. Kept it nice and easy into the pits there. It's on to lap 12, 2/3 race distance. On a set of softs isn't too bad going. 2.8 as well. That was a fairly quick stop in this Grand Prix. Where is Lewis Hamilton going to appear? There he is. Love clicking the wrong button on the way out of the pit lane there. Things you love to see. But Hamilton is going to stay ahead of us in this Grand Prix. We are just going to try and exit out the pit lane nice and tidy. Try and make sure we keep at least 2 wheels over the white line there. But the gap has come down another 3/10 in this Grand Prix. And we're going to have fresher, quicker rubber right the way through to the end of this race. Can we do anything to try and get past Lewis Hamilton? We're feeling good, just like we did in Austria. Let's see. The other thing we've got to think about, though, in this race, of course, is trying to use a little bit of our extra fuel in the ERS to try and get close to Lewis, but also make sure we've got enough of it that if we do close up, we can really try and push him as well. Try and actually go for a move, because getting close to someone around here is quite easy. Getting past him, on the other hand, is a very, very different challenge. As out of turn 1, we've taken about another 3/10 out of Lewis so far. We are still pushing to the end. Sergio Perez has just fallen to the wayside in this Grand Prix. But for us at the moment, the gap to Hamilton's still coming down, just a couple of tenths a lap at this stage of the day. If we can get inside the DRS next time round, we might be able to do something here. New fast lap of the Grand Prix as well at 12.2. We are feeling it. Oh, Hamilton's really starting to struggle on his medium tyres there. You can just see him fishtailing around out of the middle sector here. I think he's taken a bit too much out of his rubber again too early on in the stint, as now you can just see struggling a little bit more with the oversteer, and we've taken so much out of him in the second half of this lap so far. The Alpine seems to be really, really nice to its rubber here. Can we try and get a good run out of the final corner here and really try and pressure Lewis Hamilton? We're going to use pretty much all of our battery as we head back down towards turn 1 there. An 11.9 though in this Grand Prix as all. Hamilton parks it through turn 1 there. We just pick up a little bit of front wing damage on the back of the Mercedes here, but can we still try and do anything? Or is that going to be it in this race there? Hamilton's still just pushing to try and keep us behind there, and a little bit of oversteer out of turn 3 there. That is not going to help us one bit. Can't help but feel Hamilton was a little bit uncharacteristically slow through the first turn there, and that's what might have given us the damage in this Grand Prix. But since then, he's just absolutely turned it all up in this Grand Prix there. He's pulled out about 1.4, 1.5 seconds on that last lap there. So maybe he was just lulling us into a false sense of something could happen here. And maybe now Hamilton's just using the rest of his battery in this Grand Prix, because now he's just romping away again. Round in the final corners then to start the last lap of this Dutch Grand Prix. And I really did feel, with just a few laps to go here, that maybe the win was on the cards. Maybe we could have made it 2 wins this year. Proved that Austria race wasn't a complete fluke in this championship. But it took us a long time to get the gap down to Lewis Hamilton, and it's instantly pretty much up to where it was again Obviously, the little bit of front wing damage not helping, but I think, yeah, Hamilton was just saving a bit of his battery, ready to use it when he needed to. And, of course, bided his time, allowed us to get right up behind him, and then just absolutely dropped it. And Hammer Time was well and fully engaged in this Grand Prix there. But heading around the final few corners, though, it's certainly not going to be a bad day for us nonetheless. With P2, though, it's certainly going to make the championship battle between myself and Charles Leclerc for P4 a whole lot more spicy. If my maths hasn't failed me, there'll be 1 point between us as we head towards Ferrari's home race next time out. But rounding the final few corners then here in the Netherlands. Hasn't been the most action-packed race in the world, but I don't think you're ever going to get that around Zandvoort, unfortunately, with just the nature of the circuit there. But Hamilton is going to win F1's return to the Dutch Grand Prix. It seems like no idea what he's done there to lose a second through the final few corners, but he is going to come through to make it another new location that Lewis Hamilton has won at in the world of Formula 1. But we come through still for P2, and I'm very happy with that.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
A difficult race then on a circuit that demands complete concentration, but they've persevered to take the win here today. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today. Some amazing talents out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I think for driver of the day, I'd probably pick Lando Norris. He lived up to every inch of his reputation today, and I think he'll be going home, quite rightly, a bit proud of himself. It's got to be Lewis Hamilton. I mean, he pulled off some impressive feats out on the track today, even by his standards. All respect to the fans' choice, they fully deserve it, but I just feel that my pick had a little more on their plate, so their ability to keep a cool head and come through for such a strong finish made the difference, at least in my opinion.
Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, there we are then, guys, the end of the Dutch Grand Prix, and Anthony Davidson clearly picking two of the Brits as his drivers of the day there. But it is Lewis Hamilton from third on the grid who does come through for the race victory there. I completely forgot that we'd set the fastest lap of the day there as well, obviously, to pick up that bonus point. So if I'm not mistaken, Charles Leclerc and myself will be tied in the Drivers' World Championship there. Bottas did a good job, 4th to 3rd in the end. Max Verstappen, I'm sure, gutted with that 2nd to 4th at the end of the day. But I'm sure, yeah, able to jump Charles Leclerc in the pit stops there made him a little bit better in the end there. Charles 5th ahead of Sainz, Vettel, Stroll, Norris and Ricciardo there. McLaren picking up a double point haul is something we haven't seen too often in this championship there. And of course our teammate Fernando Alonso down in 11th. Such a disappointing result from him this weekend. They're very much in no man's land. 6 seconds off the cars in front, or 8 seconds even ahead of the cars behind as well there. But Gasly, Tsunoda, and then of course you got your Alphas, your Williams and your Haas rounding out the order there. Perez the only man not to make it to the checkered flag there. And I mean, if you look down, 12th to the rear of the field, they only made one place, and that was because Sergio Perez's DNF there. That goes to show the issues with overtaking around this track. Latifi and Giovinazzi, though, I've just noticed, 5 thousandths between them up towards the finish line there. That must have been an interesting one to watch at the end of the Grand Prix. But it does mean championship-wise, myself, Charles Leclerc, now tied on 103 points apiece, as we're slightly making inroads on Valtteri Bottas at this stage of the season there. It seems like the pair of us have really been able to pull away from Carlos Sainz there. Perez, of course, with that DNF, losing even more ground there. He's actually now in battle with Sebastian Vettel there as Alonso, just like in the race there, a bit in no man's land at this stage of the year. Gasly jumps Tsunoda, by virtue of a better non-point scoring finish. And then constructors-wise, no movement there. We're still another 33 behind Ferrari so far. But I think if any team is going to move around, unless it's one of the backmarker miracles, it is going to be us trying to get the jump on Ferrari by the end of the year, nonetheless. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like. Get yourself subscribed as well for more of our F1 2021 Alpine mod career mode. And yeah, we'll be back very, very soon with more Formula 1 content. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.